Okay, so good morning all. So in today's lecture, before starting off with today's lecture, let's have a brief recap of what we did in our last class. Okay, so we started off with a new chapter in the module 1, that is functions. We discussed a small program, how to declare a function, how to define a function, and how a function can be useful to us when we talk about a repetitive programming or a specific task which has to be performed repeatedly into a whole program. Right? So how a function can come handy that way, and how can we reduce the overall programming code, like the length of the code by avoiding repetitiveness and instead making use of a function which can do the task repeatedly. So we also defined the statements with parameters in a function. How can we uh, send a argument or a statement to a function, the parameters to the function, and how can those arguments can be used to output something. Then we also discussed about the return value, the whatever the function returns, how it gets stored, and how can we retrieve that returned value by using by making use of some return statements, right? So we had discussed a small program with respect to uh, how can we get a return value of a function, right? We discussed this magic 8-ball Python program wherein we saw almost everything what we have discussed so far, right? Right from importing a module, making use of an inbuilt function, declaring the statements, the if-else condition statements, then return value of a particular function, right? And then how to pass a parameter to the function, how to make use of an inbuilt function. So it was like a all-in-one program, you can say, which help us to understand various aspects whatever we have discussed so far, right? So the basic aim of this program was to uh, take a value as an input, which is the value was in fact generated by a random function, right? A random function generated a random number, and depending on that number, we pass that number to a function that is get answer, and which was able to give us some message or a statements depending on the number which was generated randomly. So, and at the end, we saw how that value is returned and the function, what value it returns, and how can we print that value, or how can we see or observe that what value is the function returning, right? So, like we discussed, even the print statement, the print function, right? A print is a function, right? So print function, how or what value it returns when we execute a print function. Then we saw if we want to uh, reduce few multiple lines of code into a single line, then how can we make it a inline function, or how can we make inline statements which can give which can do multiple tasks, right? Equivalent line statement for the same program, the part of our same program what we discussed. Then we saw the none value, how a none value is assigned, and when a printf statement returns, it actually returns a null value. When a print function is executed, it returns a none value or a null value or nil, however you want to define it. So this was a small program we saw that the after execution of the print function, it stores a value to a variable called spam, which is nothing but a none value. And we compared that none value with the spam, and we found it true, right? So it shows us that the print function uh, returns a none value after its execution. Then we also saw a few key arguments with the print function as well, right? How the key arguments and the printf function, how it can be made use. We saw a simple program wherein if we want to, if we don't want to print a new statement on the new line, how can we avoid that and make it into a single line, right? So this was using the end argument which was passed in the print function itself by assigning a blank statement or a null statement or an empty statement, you can say, right? A single open and close quote defines null statement. So we also discussed that there is no longer new line printed after the hello here, and it's instead it is printing into a single line, right? And if you want to disable that thing, we can make use of the end argument which is passed to the print function. Then we saw a few other small arguments that can be passed here, right, with the comma. If you want to print a few arguments right on the terminal, right, then if you want to print those argument along with the comma, right, so simple changes we saw. So this is what we discussed in our previous class. So in our today's lecture, we will going ahead with understanding the local and the global scope as well as the local and the global variable. Then also we'll be discussing about few exceptional handling cases. How can we handle those exceptional cases? Then we'll have one program which can give us understanding of everything what we discussed so far. Right? So we'll have a very interesting program at the end which will address us all the concepts that we have learned here. So, as you all know, local and global variables. What are local and global variables? And when is a local and a global scope? When a scope can be called as a local scope, or when a scope can be called as a global scope. So, just to give a quick understanding of it again, just to brush up. I know these basics you must be already aware, but for those who are not familiar with these terms, let's have a quick understanding of what are local scope and global scope, or what are local variables and global variables, right? Okay, so those who are coming late, you can put your roll number in the chat box, and I request you to be on time in your coming lectures, right? Anyways, so as you can see here, the local scope and global scope. What and how do we call that a particular variable is into a local scope or a variable scope, right? So a parameter and variable that are assigned in a called function are said to exist in the function's local scope, right? How? Because the parameter or a particular variable that we are assigning in a called function, in particular called function. Let's say a function, we are calling a function, let's say the same function what we discussed in our previous class, get answer, right? In the previous program, we discussed about the program in which we were having a function called get answer. So let's say, yeah, this one. So let's say we are defining a particular variable into that function, then that particular variable is into a local scope, right? And that variable becomes a local variable. Whereas when the variable that is assigned outside that function or external to that function, then we can say that it is a global variable. And the scope of that variable is at global scope. So a local scope is created whenever a function is called. Local scope will not be created anytime, anywhere randomly in any particular function. But when we call that particular function in which we have that local variable, only then the local scope will be created for that local variable. Right? For example, any variable, let's say we have assigned into that get answer function. So any variable which is local to that function get answer, the scope of that variable will only be created only when we call that function get answer. So let's understand these things with an example. But before that, what are the how is this scope matters, right? When do we consider this local scope and global scope? How does it affect? Let's say when we have a same variable which is same variable, by same variable I mean the variable which is having same name, but let's say there are two variables with same name. One is a global variable, one is a local variable. So how does this local scope and global scope matters, right? So there are several reasons for it. The number one reason being the code in the global scope cannot use any local variable, right? The code in the global scope, the code which is there at the global scope, it cannot make use of the local variable. The reason I said just now, because the local scope will only get created when we call that particular function which has that local scope, local variable, right? So that is number one, that code in the global scope cannot use any local variable unless that function is called. However, a local scope can access global variable. I hope you agree to this, that a local scope, uh, let's say a variable which is inside a function, when the function executes, when we encounter this local variable, the local scope can access the global variable. Because the reason is simple, because the variable is declared globally. So, and the third important reason why scopes matter is the code in a function's local scope, right? A code in a function's local scope cannot use the variable in any other local scope, right? So it is, I think it is self-understood that any particular variable, let's say a variable which has been declared in a function ABC, so that the scope of that particular local variable will only be restricted to that function ABC. It cannot be called outside any other uh, local scope or any other function which doesn't have that particular variable, that local variable. Now, the fourth reason is you can use the same name for different variables if they are different scopes. Like I just mentioned, when we, let's say we have two variables, same with same name, but let's say one is defined into a function ABC. So the scope of that particular variable will, let's say variable one, let's name that variable as variable one. We have two variables, both are named as variable one. Okay, both are named as variable one. One is declared in the function ABC and one is declared in the function XYZ. So though the name is same, that is variable one, the scope of the local scope of the variable one will be restricted to ABC, and again the local scope of the variable one again will be restricted to XYZ. So though the name is same, the scope is different of these two variables. So here is this example that has been given by the author. That is, let's say we have a variable called spam. So which is there is a local variable, spam is a local variable, and let's say we have a global variable named spam as well. So spam, one spam is a global variable and another is a local variable. So I hope the thing is clear. It's a simple, right? So now, how is this things get implemented, or will have an understanding with respect to a small program? How this local variable cannot be used in a global scope, or why a global scope can be used in a local scope, and vice versa. So let's first understand case by case. Let's take whether local variable cannot be used in the global scope. Right? You must have been already clear like why local variables cannot be used in global scope. But let us understand with a simple example. Let's say we have a function spam. We define the function with a def keyword def and spam followed by a colon, which tells us it is the start of the function. And inside that variable, inside that function spam, we are defining and declaring a variable called eggs, which is assigned some random number. Okay, let's say 31337. So this is just a random number. Now what we do is we just call that function. We call that function, we provoke that function spam, and after calling this function, once the function executes, once the function is terminated, we print the value of the egg, right? Now you can see that there is something wrong with this, right? The reason being the egg has been declared in the function spam, but we are trying to access this variable egg outside this function. The print statement is outside this function spam, right? So we are probably will be getting an error that the egg is not defined, because though it is defined, but it is defined into a local scope inside spam function. So which is not allowing us to make use of egg variable outside the spam function. So that's why we can say that the local variable cannot be used in the global scope. So this is kind of error that we will encounter, that it will say that name error, that name quote unquote x is not defined. Though we have defined it, but it is restricted into the local scope, and we are trying to access that local variable into a global scope that is outside the function. I hope you get the point that anything outside the function will be a global scope. So we are trying to access that variable x outside the scope, which is not permitted, or egg is not defined according to global scope. It is only at the local scope. So simple enough, right? Another case can be the local scopes cannot use variables in other scope. So let's say we have that same function called spam, and along with egg, which is having some random value 99, we have a function inside this function spam called bacon, right? And then we are printing the value of the eggs. So I hope there is no problem. so far. Now what we are doing is we are defining this function which we are making use of in this spam function called bacon. To define the function bacon, again we define it globally that def bacon colon ham is equal to is 101. So ham is just another variable which is inside the function bacon. So it is local to the function bacon, which is having some random value 101. And also there is one more variable called eggs, right, which is assigned a value 0. And now simply after defining these two functions, what we are doing is we are simply calling the spam function. Now understand the flow of the program, how it will, right? So when we define these values, when we see that the spam is called, function is called, the spam will get executed, the program will be here, execution will be here. It sees that the x has been assigned as 99 and we are calling the function bacon. Now what we do is it jumps to the function bacon. So and the flow of the program is here right now. We assign the variable ham is equal to 101. So for time being, the value of the egg that we have is 99 and the ham value for ham is 101. After this, now the egg is equal to 0 has been assigned, right? But this egg is local to this scope. It's a local scope inside this bacon variable. Now, after that, once this bacon execution completes, the flow of the program control comes back here, right, and starts printing the egg. Now, any guesses that what value that egg will print, right? Any guesses that what will the value of the eggs that will be getting printed at the terminal?
99.
99. Okay. Anybody else? I hope all are alive. Please answer. It is a simple program, right? Snehal says 0, Gangu says 0, Pawan says 99, Sanket 99, Sangeeta 99. Okay. Anybody else having any different opinion? Okay, let's not waste much time. I think, okay, Shreya says 99, one says, okay. So most of you, they say 99. Anyway, so we will see what happens when we execute it, right? So when, first of all, I mean, those who have given value as 99, they are right. The reason being is, though the egg is printed and the latest value of egg that we have is 0 here, but once the bacon function is executed completely and when flow of the control, the flow of the program comes here, and when we see that the print function is printing the value to the egg, this egg will refer to the local scope because this is inside the spam function. So this egg will be the value of this egg will it will have the value which is locally defined. So locally we can see that the value that has been defined to the egg is 99. So the correct answer for that will be 99. Right. So those who are saying 0, maybe what they have considered is the updated value of the egg is 0, and that is what is getting printed. But that is the whole understanding of this particular program is why local scopes cannot use variables in the other local scopes. So what you guys considered, those who gave the answer as 0, is that the updated value of egg is 0. But mind you that this egg is local to this bacon and this egg is local to this function spam. So the value that will be printed in by this print function will be the local value of this egg, which is 99. So that is the reason we get 99 at the execution. Okay, now let us have an understanding of how global variables can be read from a local scope. I think it is easy, right? The global variables can be easily retrieved from a local scope because they are basically they are declared globally. So let's say we have the same function spam which has a simple print statement x. Right? Now what we are doing, we have not defined this value of the egg inside that spam function. Instead, we are coming out of the function and we are defining x as 42. So this is nothing but the global declaration, right? We are declaring this is global initialization as well as declaration. You can say or definition you can say, because we are defining the variable x, as well as at the same time we are assigning a value to the variable global variable x as 42. Now we are going to call the function span. And after we call the function span, there is one more printf statement outside which is global to global, right? And which is trying to print the value in the x. So I hope what you will get the value, right? So there is, you can say there is no parameter that we are passing parameter as x inside the spam folder. So it will assign the x a value in the spam function when egg is used in the this particular function, right? So Python will refer it to the global variable. This global variable what we are assigning it as 42, and that's why the 42 will be printed at the uh, execution of the program. So accessing a global variable at a local scope is not a problem. Global variables are like can be accessed anywhere, right? Now let us have understanding of how local and global variables with the same name can we can access it. So the thing what I was discussing, right? That let's say we have a variable with which is two variables with the same name, which is one of them is a local variable and another is a global variable. So how to access it and when do we refer it, right? So when a global variable will be called or when a local variable will be called. I think at this point in time, you are clear with how a local variable can be accessed and how a global variable can be accessed separately. So let us have one program, one single program, in which we are trying to access two variables with the same name. One is a local variable and one is a global variable. So let's say we have a program called same name, and we are defining a function, two functions rather, spam function and bacon function. So in span function, we have a variable called x, which is by far you must be already understood that it's a local declaration, which is, let's say for our understanding, we are assigning this x as a value or a string called spam local. So it's a local declaration. Now we are printing the x, so it will what it will print? It will simply print spam local. This is all about just a function spam. Now let us come to the function bacon. Bacon, what it does it again assigns a same variable called x, which is a bacon local, and we are printing the value of the x. So as previous, it is going to print bacon local, right? It's a local variable again. But inside this bacon function, what we are doing is we are calling the spam function. We are calling another function, right? Which is fair enough. Now, after calling this function or when this function will get executed completely, we will also print another statement called print x. So now here is the twist. What value of x will this have? So just for our understanding, let us comment it with prints bacon local, because like we discussed earlier, this egg defines to the local scope, right? So it will print bacon local. Now let us define another variable called x, right? So there is one more variable egg, which is a global variable. So just for our understanding, we are going to assign the value of that variable x as global. So when we ask to print this egg here, it will print simply global. But in between that, we are calling the bacon function. So this will clarify our doubt whether what time or what variable will be printed depending on the flow of the program, right? So anybody, any guesses what will be the overall flow of the program? I would allow you to take 1 minute to understand this code once again, and then you can understand the flow of the program and what values will be printed. Just go through the program from top to bottom and what values or what statements will be printed in sequence. You can unmute your mic and you can tell the answer, or else you can put it in the comment. Preferably, I would suggest to unmute your mic and verbally tell the answer instead of typing and spending some time in typing. Yeah, anybody? What are the statements that we get at the execution when we execute this whole program? Anybody? It's a simple statement, right? Yeah, quickly, yeah, don't, let's not waste much time.
Sir, it will print first Beacon local,
Okay,
then again, then spam local,
okay.
then Beacon local,
Then Bacon local, okay.
then global.
Okay, fine. Anybody else? That was a good try, Swapnil. Anybody else having different opinion or have the same answer? So just to give a hint, here we are only defining the statement. Here the function, sorry, the spam function. Here we are only defining the Bacon function, and actual execution starts from here. Actual execution starts from here, right? So I hope that gives you enough hint. Okay, let's not waste much time. So as the Swapnil said, the answer is Bacon local, spam local, Bacon local, and global. Right. So let us understand how it is done. So as I said, this is just the definition of the function spam. This is just the definition of function Bacon, and here is the actual execution starts. Right. So when the actual execution start, that is egg, the global variable x is declared as global. Then we call the Bacon function. So the flow of the control, the flow of the program reaches here in the Bacon function. We define a local variable x with Bacon local and we print that. So first print statement we get is Bacon local. Now we are calling this spam local, and that's how our control of the program shifts to this function, which is assigned to another variable called x again, but it is a spam local, and it prints spam local. So first we get Bacon local, then we get spam local. Once we execute this spam function, we reach the this print function here, print command here. So it goes on and print the eggs here. But this egg is a local egg, local to Bacon. So it prints Bacon local. Right. So far we have Bacon local, then we have spam local, then we have Bacon local, and and then the Bacon function gets terminated here, which is our flow of the control program is here. And then we go on and print the eggs. Now this x is just the global variable. This is not restricted to, this is not indicating to any egg from the Bacon function or a egg from a spam function, but this is the global declaration. So this egg is what is getting called, and we are able to get global printed at the terminal. So I hope you got it. The Bacon, then spam, then Bacon again, and then global. So that's how our output would look like. Bacon local, spam local, Bacon local, and then global. So I hope you got it. So there are three different variables in the program. They are within same names, right? So far, what we saw, a global egg, then a Bacon local egg, then we have a spam local egg. So there are three different variables in the program. Basically, you know, to make us understand how these particular eggs are, how this particular variable called eggs are called at the local scope as well as the global scope. So one egg is local scope to spam, one egg is a local scope to Bacon, and one egg is a global scope, global variable, which is called at the global scope, which exists at the global scope, right? So I hope you got the point here. So let's say we have the same, almost the same program, but we have the global statement inside it. Now, what are these global statement? Let's say we define the function span and we declare inside that span, we have a global variable called x. So this is like defining a variable inside the local scope, but defining it as a global variable. So I hope you got it, that the function is having a declaration of a variable called x, but the declaration is a global statement. So this x can be used in any other function also. Now then we have a variable x which is assigned as value as spam, a string called spam, just to indicate that it is from the spam function. Now we have another x, a variable called x, which is assigned as the value global, a string global. And now what we do is we call that function spam and print the value of x. So the output will be something like that, that because this x is declared globally, right? It is a global declaration at the top of the function, at the beginning of the function spam, then the egg is set, this egg value is set to spam, right? Now this assignment is done globally, right? This particular assignment is done to the global scope spam. Now, no local scope, no local spam uh, variable is created here, right? You can see that there is no local spam variable is created here. So, in order to do this, I mean, to understand this, there are four rules. You can say there are four rules to tell whether the variable is in a local scope or a global scope. So to avoid that confusion, whether a global statement, the variable which is defined with the global statement, for example here, whether we are calling this or we are calling the globally declared variable, right? So how to clarify this? We have four rules for this, which will tell us that whether the variable is a local scope or a global scope variable. So number one is if a variable is being used in the global scope, which is this global scope, which is outside that function, right? So then it is a global variable. It's a global variable. If there is a global statement of that variable in a function, then it is a global variable, which is this, right? So this egg is a global variable and this egg is also a global variable. This is globally declared variable x and this is the variable x which is declared using a global statement inside a function. So both are global variables in short. Otherwise, if the variable used in assignment statement in the function, it is a local variable. So let's say if you are assigning something to that variable, then it's a local variable. It becomes a local variable. But at the same time, if the variable is not used in an assignment variable, it remains the global variable. So since we have assigned this value, the globally declared variable egg as the value spam, we have assigned it as a spam, it becomes a local variable, but the globally declared variable will remain the global variable. Right. So to understand it better, let's say we have this, I will continue with the same program. Let's say we have same variable with the same name, a function called spam, a function called bacon. In the function spam, we have a global declaration statement of the variable called x. So it is a global variable. So egg is equal to spam. This is a global. Now, the bacon in the bacon function, we are defining a variable x and assigning a value called bacon. So it is simple, right? It's a local variable. So I hope you got that. Now we have one more function called ham, and in that we are just printing the value of the x, right? We are just printing the value of the variable x. So this will by default take the global variable, right? Now, so that's why this is a global variable, because there is no local variable inside the function ham. And what is the global variable value of x? It is 42. So when we call this function ham, the value that we should get is 42. But let's say we are calling a function spam and then printing the value of the spam. So when we call the function spam, let's go to the function spam, and we encounter these statements: global x, x, and spam. Global x, x is assigned to spam. So the value that gets printed at the print statement here in print x is spam, right? Because this is what we execute, or this is what we get. But it's a global variable, right? We are declaring it's a global variable. So that is why we are able to access that value. You will ask me question that how is spam getting printed, because spam, the value of the egg is only restricted to function spam. So this statement only exists inside this local scope of spam. But we have declared that variable x as globally. It can be accessed outside the spam, and that's why when we print this printf statement, we will get the output as spam. So here is what a simple error can look like when we don't uh, call the variable, the functions properly, and when we can encounter error while declaring it. So let's say the same function spam, when we print x, right? Print x, there is definitely an error, because by this time the program doesn't know what is x, whether it's a variable, it's an argument, or what it is. It doesn't define anything. After this print statement, we are actually defining the variable x and assigning it to the statement spam local. And then x is globally declared and the spam function is called. So this is the error that we will encounter, that the local variable egg is referenced before the assignment, right? This local variable egg here is referenced or used, or we are calling to, or we are trying to make use of this variable before the assignment, this assignment, that is egg is equal to spam local. So that is the error that we will encounter. Now, simple, what is exceptional handling, right? So exceptional handling, as the name suggests, few exceptional cases. For example, dividing by zero, right? So how do we handle those situations, those errors, or those exceptions? So dividing by zero, this is a simple program here. The spam function again, and we are passing a parameter called divided by. It's a variable, and we directly return a value 42 divided by a variable, which the value which will contain inside this variable divided by. So what is this value divided by? So let us pass few numbers to this divided by value and see what errors or what output that we get. So at first, let's say we are passing the parameter 2. So spam function is called, and the value is the argument which is passed is a value 2. So divided by will now have 2. And when we execute this function 42 divided by 2 will give us simple 21, right? So 21, no problem. It will give us the value 21, right? It should give us the floating value, because the return value will be usually in the floating and not in the integer. So it will give us 21.0 maybe. Then we are passing the value 12. So the spam function is called by passing the value 12. Now divided by value will have 12. The variable divided by will have value 12. So 42 divided by 12, right? So 42 divided by 12, again it's divisible, maybe in floating points, but we will have the value, we will get the answer, we will not have any error. But when we call this statement spam 0, now there's an exception, right? We are trying to divide something by 0, which is not allowed uh, in mathematics, right? It's undefined, or you can say it's infinity. So when we give value 0 to the variable divided by, and when it encounters the expression 42 divided by 0, it will give us an error, right? It will give us an error, and it will terminate the program without executing this spam one. So the execution, the terminal will look something like this. So when it divided by 2, 42 divided by 2, 21.0, 12 divided by 2 will have 3.5. But when we see spam 0, that is 42 divided by 0, we get an error, that is 0 division error, division by 0. which is not allowed. And after that, though this statement, that is print spam 1, is a valid statement, 42 divided by 1 should return as 42, but we are not getting that value in our terminal because this statement is never executed. We have simply terminated our program right here when we encounter this exceptional case, that is zero division error. So in order to avoid that or execute our further program after this exception which is to be handled, we can handle this by using few methods called try method and except method, right? It can be handled using try statements and except statement. So what it allows us to do is it allows us to try before we actually execute it. As the name suggests, is it allows us to check or just to try whether is it possible, the operation that I'm trying to do, is it possible? If it is possible, good. If it is not possible, just give me an error and continue with my further program, is what these try statement and except statement help us to do, right? So let's say in the same program spam with the variable divided by, we first pass a try statement which will return the value 42 divided by the value which will have in the variable divided by. Then we are also giving the exception. We are already aware of the exception, what can be possible exception, and we are telling the program that these are the exceptions and please consider into the exception statements. So we are giving the exception that zero division error, print error invalid, that is invalid argument, and then after that try continue the program as it is. So after execution of this program by using this try statement and except statement, we will able to get all our input, all our output for all our inputs, right? So 21, that is 42 divided by 2, 21. Then 42 divided by 12, we get 3.5 as it is. But when we encounter spam 0, that is 42 divided by 0, we get an error that invalid, which is actually been prompted by this exception, right? Good enough. Then we go ahead and execute the next statement, that is spam 1, which is 42 divided by 1, which will give us, which will return us 42 itself, 42.0. Now, but you can see there's one more none here. What is this none, right? So if you can recall in a previous statement, in our previous lecture, we discussed the none values, right? Let me take you back to those none values, none value. And when we print a function, when we print something using a print function, the value that the print function returns by default is a none value. So that's what we saw here. We compared none with the variable spam. The print function returned none to the variable spam, which makes none is equal to none, and which was true. So that tells us that the print function by default returns none value. So you can see here when we execute, let me go back and show you here when we encounter this statement. So when we execute this value, this print function spam 0, when it encounters that it is a 0 error, that it is an error and it's an invalid argument. So what it do is this printf statement returns none to exception, and then we print that statement. So we get that none value here. That is the reason that none, it is the return value of the print function. So I hope you got it. Now another way is to do it is by using a simple return 42 divided by division function, try all the values by except function. So one thing which has to be taken care here is once we execute the exception function, it doesn't come back to the try function. For example, if I, for example, let's say here in the same program, what we have done is these codes, which we know which are valid, we have put all these print statement inside the try statement, and ultimately we have given the exception, which is division by 0. So what will happen is it will try for spam 2, which will give us 42 divided by 2, good enough, 21.0 here. Then 42 divided by 12, it gives us 3.5, good enough. When we encounter spam 0, it will go to the exception, right? And it will print error invalid. It goes and prints error invalid. Now, after when we execute this, that our whole program is completely executed. We have completed the execution part here, because the exceptions will never return back to try statements. So that is the reason we are not able to get the answer for this print statement, which is print spam 1. So that is the reason we don't get the print spam 1, the value, the answer for spam 1, which is 42 divided by 1, which is nothing but 42.0. So we are not getting that, you can see here. The reason being, the print once the except statements is executed, it never returns back to the try statement. So okay, so we are short of time, but in our next lecture, we will discuss whatever we have learned so far in our today's lecture. We'll have this whole understanding again with respect to a program. Okay, so any doubts so far in today's lecture? If there are no doubts, we can conclude the lecture. If you have doubts, you can ask the doubts. But please let me know whether you have doubt or you don't have doubt. Okay, so I hope things are clear. I have been taking the pace very slow so that the things are crystal clear, and you shouldn't face any problem as in when we proceed. So that is the reason I'm taking very slow. And good that most of you have no doubt. But I don't know others whether they have doubt, they don't know what to ask, or they genuinely have no doubts. So as per the input given by the few of the students here, let us assume that there is no doubt. But in case if you still have doubt, you can ask me anytime. If there are no doubts, we can conclude the lecture here. You can leave the meeting. Thank you.